Las Vegas bills itself as a city where the fun never stops. That's never more true than on holidays, when the number of people out on the streets rises dramatically, and so does trouble for the Metropolitan Police Department. This story is not a recreation. It's the reality of New Year's Eve weekend in Las Vegas.
There is a mentality out there that Las Vegas is still the Wild West and anything goes here. That's not the case. Prostitution's not legal here. A lot of people think it is. Yes, it's a gambling town. It has been known to have the moniker of Sin City. Well, just because gambling's legal here, this is not Sin City, folks, and it's not the Wild West.
Let's get started.
Everyone who'll be on duty with the police department on New Year's weekend has to prepare, including Lieutenant Randy Oakes.
The crowd estimate ranges anywhere from 12,000 to 30,000 people. So we're going
The main thing that we prepared for was a potential for a crowd environment to get out of hand. That can end up in burning cars and buildings being looted, and all kinds of things go on with a mob mentality.
You're going to find that that crowd is so thick, you're not going to be able to see 10 feet in front of you. Most of them will be happy and should not create too much of a problem. We want all of them to enjoy themselves and have a safe evening.
65AI copied your traffic. All units code red this channel. 3 Adam 1 control.
A female officer reports a suspected stolen car.
Do you have it?
Affirmative, it's right in front of me.
She somewhat routinely ran the license plate of a car traveling in front of her. The computer immediately returned that that car had been reported stolen in our jurisdiction.
Okay, confirming it's Oklahoma. Adam yellow, 6'9", and 81 Buick, 2-door beige in color.
Affirmative, that's the one.
All units 3 Adam 1 has an occupied 411. Any unit in the area that can assist, advise control.
Lieutenant Oakes responds to the call for backup.
You're the primary unit.
You never know what kind of people are going to be inside the car, so you have to prepare for the worst.
Get down! Down! Get on the ground! Get, come here! Come here! Come here! You come here! Hands up! Hands up! Alto manos arriba! On the ground! Get down! You, come here! Come here! You!
Are they homicide suspects? Are they armed? Those officers are not going to take any unnecessary chances.
On the ground! On the ground! On the ground! Watch the car! Watch the car!
We asked our dispatcher if there was any Spanish-speaking officers in the area.
We need a Spanish-speaking officer.
She located Officer Burns, who showed up a minute later.
I spoke with the suspects, first advising of their Miranda rights in their own language, Spanish. Once I was sure that they understood their rights, I began to question them as to what they were doing in that particular vehicle, where they had obtained the vehicle.
He says that he purchased the car from a guy named Roberto.
If you really want to be a good police officer, you need to be a fairly good psychologist. I found that I've had my best success when I become the suspect's best friend.
Vale más que 300, no?
The suspects find a friend in me. They're more likely to tell me exactly what happened and give me the truth the first time. We don't have to worry about breaking down any macho barriers.
The suspects are arrested for possession of stolen property. The charges are later dismissed.
Welcome to downtown Las Vegas.
A number of years ago, we found that the greatest hazard was the throwing of bottles into the air around midnight and at certain times throughout the celebration. We approach those with champagne bottles or other glass bottles and tell them we only have one rule tonight, and that rule is that they not have glass on the street. I've never met the person and approached them with a plastic cup that hasn't understood. It makes it safer for everybody else.
Now, an emergency 112.
I was at the 7-Eleven at Vegas Valley and Nellis Boulevard. And there was a bad accident. People are hurt.
Okay, there's somebody on the scene already?
Yeah, there's an officer just pulled up with his lights flashing.
Okay, great, thanks.
Another call for help sends officers to the scene of an accident.
It was a beige Chrysler driven by a man that was traveling at a very high rate of speed. He skidded all the way into the outside travel lane, almost 300 feet of locked skid, and then impacted the rear of a car that had been stopped at the light. And that Pontiac that was struck from the rear was pushed ahead into the side of that semi-truck. That accident had all the potential to be a disaster, especially for the female occupant of the Pontiac.
And he parked right on the skid mark.
And he says his brakes don't work.
Yeah, I see that.
But they did for a couple of 100 feet.
I see that, yeah.
Let me explain something to you. If your brakes didn't work, there wouldn't be 300 feet of skid mark here.
But you can get in and they push it. It ain't skid mark.
Watch my lips.
That's
wait a minute,
skid mark right there.
300 feet of skid marks.
But I tried to stop and they went all the way to the floor.
Your brakes work or your tire wouldn't skid for 300 feet, okay?
Officer, I tried to stop, man. I had trouble with it 2 days ago. And I really mashed on them and they didn't work. They stopped me as much as they did, but it really wasn't.
What are you on probation for?
Possession of cocaine.
He was driving which vehicle?
Detective Gordon Martinez, an expert in auto accidents, is called in to investigate.
I was directed to the driver of the striking vehicle, and standing approximately 3 or 4 feet away from him, I could detect a strong odor of an alcoholic beverage emitting from his breath and person. I requested him to submit to a field sobriety test. Okay, the first test I'm going to give you is I want you to follow the tip of my pen, just with your eyes, okay? I think the public in general perceive a drunk driver or impaired driver as someone that is falling down drunk, unable to even stand in one place. In reality, their reaction times are merely slowed by 1 second, where they don't quite know what a red light means, or they don't quite see that a vehicle is stopped. It's the subtle impairment that causes these type of accidents.
Calvin, throw me the blanket.
About the only thing that really saved her was luck. Here she is, stopped at a red light, and then is instantaneously catapulted forward into another vehicle. The injury should have been massive or fatal.
The seatbelt saved my life. Otherwise, I would have went through the windshield. I think it's great that they're out there giving them the test and arresting them. People that drink and drive, they don't care. They just do it anyway unless it happens to them. And then maybe they'll learn, and it's too bad it has to happen that way.
The suspect pleaded guilty to driving under the influence.
I picture my own family being involved in this type of collision involving a drunk driver. To this day, every time my wife and child drive home and pull up into the driveway, I always breathe a little sigh of relief because I know how easy it is for something drastic to happen on our roadways.
As the countdown to midnight draws nearer, people crowd into the streets. A call comes into 911 from a taxicab dispatcher.
911 emergency.
It's a Whittlesey Cab dispatch. I've got a situation in front of the Sands on the boulevard.
What's the problem?
A group of pedestrians, juveniles, are attacking, assaulting one of our vehicles with passengers.
Okay, how many people?
231, how many people are involved? My driver's panicking.
Okay.
31, speak to me. How many people are involved?
Hundreds of them in front of the Sands of blocking the strip.
Control advising of a 416 and Mary 1 at the Sands. 15 juveniles beating on cab number 1231.
When we got to the Sands Hotel, we found that several of their security personnel were outside and that the cab driver had left the area. The crowd had swelled to several hundred, if not 1,000. At the time that we arrived, the crowd had totally blocked the Las Vegas Strip and had taken control at that point.
A truck driver who had been enjoying the celebration is trapped in his semi by revelers who have become rowdy. When a situation gets dangerously out of control, it must be diffused before someone gets hurt.
Probably the most important thing in a situation like that is not to go in with John Wayne syndrome. The crowd could have overwhelmed those officers in a matter of seconds. do take control, but yet we're still going to make every effort to allow them to have a good time.
Just before midnight, everyone's out in the streets.
If you come to Las Vegas on New Year's Eve, we want you to have a good time. But we want you to act like you might in your own living room. We invite thousands of people here each year and love to have them come. We just ask that they respect our property and not do any damage. And other than that, it's just have a good time.
3, 2, 1.
Going to be somewhere at New Year's, I guess. People realize that we have good caliber people working on Las Vegas Metro, that we are tolerable.
These are people who pay their taxes and seldom call the police for anything, but they come up and give you a handshake or a hug, tell you Happy New Year, and wish you a safe and prosperous year. It's a good feeling.